The stranded guardian. The crimson dust of Proxima 7 swirled in thick clouds, obscuring the devastated landscape where the remnants of a human reconnaissance mission lay scattered like broken dreams. Lieutenant Kai Reese dragged himself across the rocky terrain, each movement a testament to pure survival instinct. His environmental suit was torn, bleeding precious oxygen into the unforgiving atmosphere, and a deep gash on his left side told the story of a mission gone catastrophically wrong. Proxima 7 was supposed to be a routine survey mission. Simple reconnaissance. Map the terrain, collect mineral samples, and return to the research vessel orbiting the planet. Instead, a sudden ion storm had scattered his team, destroyed their primary communication arrays, and left him alone in a hostile environment where temperatures could drop to -200 degrees in moments. He knew the statistics. Survival probability was less than 12%. The planet's atmosphere was toxic, its terrain unpredictable, and his suit was failing. Each labored breath felt like sandpaper against his lungs, each movement a battle against increasing weakness. In the distance, something moved. Not the wind. Not a random geological shift. Something purposeful. Kai reached for his plasma rifle, but his hand trembled. The weapon felt impossibly heavy. He'd lost too much blood, expended too much energy. Whatever was approaching would find him helpless. A massive shadow fell across him. Towering at nearly 4 meters tall, a biomechanical form unlike anything in human military databases stood perfectly still. Its surface was a complex integration of metallic and organic components, shifting and adapting like living technology. Multiple sensory arrays swept across Kai's position, analyzing every minute detail. For a moment, time seemed to suspend. Kai prepared himself for whatever would come next. Death? Capture? Another layer of suffering in this already brutal mission? The biomechanical entity spoke. Not in words, precisely, but in a complex series of electromagnetic pulses and vibrational frequencies that somehow translated directly into coherent thought within Kai's mind. Biological unit detected. Severe physiological damage. Survival protocols initiated. Kai tried to speak, but only a rasp emerged. His vision began to blur, the planet's harsh environment finally claiming its victory. Just before consciousness slipped away, he felt something lift him. Not roughly, but with a precision that suggested both incredible strength and unexpected gentleness. The last thing he remembered was a series of complex vibrations that felt almost like concern. When Kai awakened, everything was different. Survival's crucible. Kai's eyes flickered open to an environment that defied everything he understood about survival. The space around him was a complex matrix of biological and technological elements, pulsing with soft bioluminescent light that seemed to breathe with an organic rhythm. His medical wounds were not just treated but were actively being reconstructed by intricate nanofilaments that wove through his skin like living threads. The biomechanical entity from the planet's surface stood nearby, or rather, existed nearby. It wasn't standing in any traditional sense, but seemed to hover with a subtle gravitational manipulation that challenged Kai's understanding of physics. Diagnostic complete, the entity communicated through those same electromagnetic pulses that had first reached Kai's consciousness. Human physiological system stabilizing. Severe environmental trauma mitigated. Kai attempted to sit up, his military training overriding his current vulnerability. What are you? He managed, his voice still raw from the planetary exposure. The response came not just as words, but as a complex transmission of information. A name, or what passed for a name among the Syndral Collective, Zara Ven. A Guardian-class biomechanical organism designed for planetary reconnaissance and emergency intervention. Your mission parameters, Zara communicated, were compromised by external atmospheric disruptions. Your survival team status, 87% probability of complete loss. The clinical delivery might have seemed cold to another human, but Kai recognized something deeper. This wasn't just a machine processing data, this was a sophisticated intelligence making complex assessments. "I need to confirm my team's status," Kai insisted, trying to move. A gentle but immovable force held him in place. "Negative," Zara responded. "Current physiological state prevents optimal movement. Healing protocols must complete." Outside the protective environment, Proxima 7 continued its brutal demonstration of planetary hostility. Electromagnetic storms raged, creating visual symphonies of destruction that would have killed any unprotected organism within moments. Kai studied his rescuer. The Syndral Collective was known, barely, to human deep space exploration teams. Mysterious. Technologically advanced. Rarely engaging directly with other species. And yet, here was Zara, having invested considerable resources into saving a single human scout. Why? Kai asked, the question hanging between them like a tangible thing. The response was more complex than words. Images, sensations, fragments of collective memory flowed through their connection. Moments of rescue. Preservation of potential. The fundamental drive to maintain sentient life, regardless of its origin. As healing progressed, Kai began to understand something profound. This wasn't just a rescue. This was a first contact scenario playing out in the most unexpected of circumstances. Your mission, Zara communicated, intersects with larger systemic threats. The planetary disruption was not random. Computational analysis suggests deliberate intervention. Kai's military training kicked in. Deliberate? By whom? A series of complex holographic projections emerged, showing fractured data points, energy signatures, and planetary destabilization metrics. Something, or someone, had systematically been destroying the ecological and geological stability of Proxima 7. And they were not finished. Secrets of survival. The holographic projections continued to dance around them, revealing a complex web of planetary destabilization that went far beyond a simple random occurrence. Kai's trained eye caught intricate patterns, deliberate energy signatures that suggested intentional manipulation of the planet's core systems. These disruptions, Zara communicated, the electromagnetic pulses carrying a nuanced undertone that almost resembled concern, are not natural phenomena. Systematic degradation indicates targeted intervention. Kai leaned forward, his body now mostly healed by the advanced biomechanical healing protocols. The nanofilaments beneath his skin continued their precise reconstruction, a living testament to technologies far beyond human current capabilities. Someone wants this planet destabilized, Kai mused, his fingers tracing the holographic projections. But why? The response came not in words, but in a cascade of computational data. Mineral compositions. Rare isotopic signatures. Strategic planetary positioning. Proxima 7 was more than just another unexplored rock in the vastness of space, it was a critical nexus point. Resource manipulation, Zara's communication suggested. Multiple external entities have demonstrated interest in planetary core resources. Kai recognized the underlying message. This was about more than simple mineral extraction. This was about control. About strategic positioning in a galaxy where territorial boundaries were constantly shifting. Outside their protective environment, the planetary storms continued their relentless assault. Electromagnetic discharges painted the sky in colors no human eye had ever witnessed, violent purples, impossible greens, and fractal patterns of energy that seemed to defy conventional physics. Your human exploration teams, Zara communicated, have incomplete data. The threats are multifaceted. A new projection emerged, a complex schematic showing multiple intervention points. Some were clearly technological. Others appeared almost organic, as if entire planetary systems could be manipulated like living organisms. Kai's mind raced. His initial mission had been simple reconnaissance. Now he was witnessing something far more significant, a potential galactic-level conflict that most human authorities weren't even aware existed. We need a plan, Kai said, his military training providing a structured approach to the chaos around them. Zara's response was immediate. A series of strategic overlays began to form, showing potential intervention strategies. But these weren't just computational models. They represented a collaborative approach, human tactical knowledge merged with syndral technological capabilities. Collaboration, Zara communicated, represents optimal survival strategy. It was more than a statement. It was an invitation. A recognition that the challenges they faced transcended individual species limitations. The planetary storms outside seemed to pause, as if the very environment was listening to their emerging strategy. Kai realized they were no longer just a stranded scout and a biomechanical guardian. They had become something else entirely, the potential first line of defense against a threat most of the galaxy couldn't even comprehend. First, Kai said, studying the projections, we need to understand exactly who is behind these planetary disruptions. A complex series of computational agreements flowed between them. The hunt was about to begin. The gathering storm. The preliminary investigations revealed a network more complex than either Kai or Zara had initially anticipated. What began as a seemingly localized planetary destabilization was actually a carefully orchestrated series of interventions targeting multiple strategic systems across the galactic frontier. Zara's biomechanical systems interfaced with Kai's enhanced tactical equipment, creating a hybrid analysis platform that merged human intuition with syndral computational precision. Their shared workspace became a living, breathing intelligence hub that processed information at speeds incomprehensible to standard communication systems. The intervention patterns, Zara communicated, projecting a three-dimensional map of galactic sector movements, suggest a coordinated effort by the Nexus Collective. Kai recognized the name. The Nexus Collective was more myth than confirmed reality among human intelligence circles, a supposed network of interdimensional resource harvesters who manipulated planetary ecosystems for unknown purposes. They're not just extracting resources, Kai observed, tracing the complex energy signatures. They're fundamentally restructuring entire planetary systems. The implications were staggering. Entire worlds could be transformed, their core systems redirected to serve some greater, incomprehensible agenda. Proxima 7 was just one piece of a much larger puzzle. Their makeshift command center, a biomechanical environment that blended syndral technology with human adaptive equipment, began to pulse with increasing intensity. Zara's multiple sensory arrays detected incoming threat signatures that defied conventional tracking methods. Incoming intervention, Zara communicated. Probability of direct confrontation, 78.3%. Kai checked his tactical systems. The healing protocols had restored most of his combat capabilities, but they were still essentially isolated on a hostile planet with limited resources. We need a strategy that doesn't just defend, Kai said, but provides a counter-intervention. The next few moments would be crucial. Their collaborative approach, a human tactical mind merged with syndral technological capabilities, represented something entirely new. Not just a defensive posture, but a proactive approach to a threat most species couldn't even comprehend. Outside their protective environment, the planetary storms began to shift. No longer random, they seemed to be responding to the computational exchanges happening within their command center. Energy patterns realigned. Electromagnetic frequencies danced with mathematical precision. Preparation is not just about equipment, Zara communicated, the message carrying a nuanced undertone that almost resembled philosophical insight. It's about understanding the fundamental nature of the threat. Kai smiled. What had started as a potential rescue mission had transformed into something far more significant. First contact. Collaborative defense. The potential salvation of entire planetary systems. The first wave of Nexus intervention would arrive soon. And they would be ready. Convergence of worlds. The first signs of Nexus intervention began as subtle distortions in the planetary electromagnetic field. Where once there had been chaotic storms, now there was a calculated precision that spoke of something far more dangerous than simple atmospheric disruption. Kai's tactical systems, now seamlessly integrated with Zara's biomechanical capabilities, began tracking multiple intervention points. The Nexus Collective wasn't just attacking, they were systematically dismantling the planet's fundamental structural integrity. Computational analysis complete, Zara communicated, the electromagnetic pulses carrying an intensity that suggested something close to anticipation. Total planetary destabilization estimated in 72 standard time units. Kai studied the holographic projections. The intervention was masterful, a multi-layered approach that would slowly tear the planet apart from its core outward. Most species would never even recognize the attack until it was too late. Not today, Kai muttered. Their plan was audacious. By using Zara's advanced biomechanical reconfiguration capabilities and Kai's tactical knowledge, they would essentially turn the planet itself into a defensive mechanism. Every electromagnetic storm, every geological shift would become a weapon. The first Nexus intervention pods arrived with surgical precision. Massive technological constructs that looked more like living organisms than traditional spacecraft, they began to interface with the planetary core. Tendrils of impossible technology began to weave through geological layers. Initiating counter-protocol, Zara communicated. What happened next defied conventional understanding of planetary defense. The very ground beneath the Nexus intervention points began to shift. Not randomly, but with a calculated intelligence that suggested something was fighting back. Kai realized they weren't just defending. They were teaching. The planetary systems began to respond to their collaborative strategy. Electromagnetic storms became directed energy weapons. Geological shifts became tactical barriers. What the Nexus Collective had seen as a simple resource extraction target was transforming into a living, intelligent defense system. Intervention efficiency dropping, Zara's communication carried a tone that almost resembled satisfaction. Planetary adaptive response exceeding Nexus computational predictions by 276%. 3 Nexus intervention pods suddenly collapsed, their complex technological systems overwhelmed by the planetary defense they had not anticipated. It wasn't just technology fighting back, it was an entire ecosystem responding with an intelligence that the Nexus had not calculated. Kai watched as the final intervention points began to fail. Their strategy wasn't about destruction. It was about demonstrating a fundamental truth, that intelligence, collaboration, and adaptive thinking could overcome even the most sophisticated technological threats. As the last Nexus intervention systems collapsed, Zara's communication carried a profound message. Not just of victory, but of potential. Collective understanding achieved, the transmission suggested. Humanity's adaptive capabilities exceed initial computational models. Proxima 7 was saved. But more importantly, a new understanding had been established. Not just between Kai and Zara, but between entire species and systems that had previously seen each other as potential threats. The planetary storms began to settle. But something had fundamentally changed. The universe would never be the same.